I'm gonna give you my top 20 fantasy running backs plus some sleepers for you to target in the later rounds. Why? Because I'm full service, like a New Jersey gas station. Welcome to Keepers, I'm Matt Ufford, and these are my 2014 preseason fantasy football running back rankings. Now, no running back has repeated as the top fantasy back since LaDainian Tomlinson in 06 and 07. That's why I've got LaShawn McCoy over Jamal Charles in the top spot. McCoy will once again benefit from Chip Kelly's offense and a weak NFC East, while Charles is unlikely to repeat his output of 19 touchdowns from a year ago. Although he does play the Raiders twice, so you never know. Still, I'll take McCoy on the coin flip. In Chip we trust. Adrian Peterson rounds out the consensus top 3, and the only reason he's this low is the beginning of concerns about age and mileage. Still, an upgrade at quarterback and the emergence of Cordero Patterson should give him a little more breathing room than he had last year. At 4, Eddie Lacy is the first quality running back in Green Bay since Amon Green a decade ago. Even with a healthy Aaron Rodgers and the Pack's dynamic aerial attack, you can count on the reigning Rookie of the Year to get around 20 carries a game. Matt Forte rounds out the top 5. Last year, Mark Trestman and a rebuilt O-line led to Forte setting career-high marks in rushing yards, receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Bump him ahead of Lacy if you're in a PPR league. Up next, Monty Ball. Monte Ball? Whatever. If a mediocre back like Noshawn Moreno can get 1,600 yards from scrimmage and 13 touchdowns in Denver's offense, expectations should be at least that high for Ball. Marshawn Lynch is next, and I'd put him higher if I weren't concerned about his usage. With 3 straight seasons of 300-plus touches, 1,200-plus yards, and double-digit touchdowns, the 28-year-old seems primed to lose some touches to Christian Michael and Robert Turbin. Beast Mode's more than capable of proving me wrong, but I think Pete Carroll will try to save their workhorse for another postseason run. When DeMarco Murray's in the lineup, you're guaranteed RB1 numbers. Last year, he played in a career-high 14 games, and if he can stay healthy, he'll be a stud. And if I were taller and better looking, I'd be a model. I guess what I'm saying is draft Lance Dunbar as a handcuff. Alfred Morris gets no respect. Only Adrian Peterson has rushed for more yards over the last 2 seasons than Morris has, and yet here he is all the way down at number 9. A healthier RG3 and Deshaun Jackson should keep teams from stacking the box on him, so expect his numbers to improve after a slight sophomore dip. Rounding out the top 10, Le'Veon Bell came on strong late last season, rushing for 485 yards and 4 TDs in his final 6 games. This year, his O-line should be much stronger thanks to the tutelage of Mike Munchak and the return of center Marquise Pouncey. Before you get too down on Doug Martin for his disappointing 3.6 yards per carry before last year's injury, please remember that Greg Schiano is running a power row on every single first and second down. With a new coach, a better quarterback, and more offensive weapons, the Bucs will be a lot better on offense despite some losses on the line. Expect the muscle hamster to return to form. Over the last 5 years, Arian Foster has gone from undrafted free agent to perennial fantasy stud to the guy with a messed up back taking handoffs from Ryan Fitzpatrick. Foster has a great ceiling, but I'm not confident in his back or the Texans' offense. Now, there's a lot not to like about Zach Stacy, namely Brian Schottenheimer's lack of creativity and the addition of Trey Mason, but last year's 5th-round pick and surprise fantasy hero will still get the bulk of the work in St. Louis. At 14 is my favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year, Bishop Sankey. Tennessee has invested heavily in their offensive line in the last few years, and while I'm concerned about his touchdown production, a Jake Locker offense doesn't exactly scream red zone. He'll definitely get more than his share of touches and yards. At 15 is Rashad Jennings. David Wilson's unfortunate retirement creates a big opportunity for Jennings, who at 29 has fewer than 500 touches. That's less than 2 seasons as a workhorse. Andre Williams is a talented threat on the depth chart, but I think Tom Coughlin's disdain for rookies will outweigh his love of BC Eagles. With an ADP of 44, I think Jennings will end up being one of the best value picks you can make at running back. Gio Bernard and Andre Ellington are next on my list. They're both explosive backs whose coaches won't give them the heavy workloads you might want them to. Bump them both up in your rankings if you're in a PPR league. Otherwise, be ready to hate yourself for using a 2nd-round pick on a running back who might get 15 carries a game. There are 3 things I know about CJ Spiller. He's immensely talented, nothing good can ever happen to the Bills, and Fred Jackson will steal touchdowns from Spiller until the day he dies. Fantasy football is already too stressful for me. I don't need that extra headache. Last year, Ryan Matthews made the leap from leaky garbage bag to actual useful fantasy back, but he's still in a crowded backfield. Danny Woodhead remains the scat back, and Donald Brown figures to get significant touches as well. Forgive me for being skeptical. And finally, I've got Reggie Bush at 20. Joique Bell will obviously do a lot of the heavy lifting for the Lions running game, but Bush remains an elusive runner and skilled receiver out of the backfield. Of course, your draft goes deeper than 20 running backs, so here are 5 potential sleepers for 2014. Ben Tate had flashes of brilliance in Houston, and now he finally has a shot to be a starter in Cleveland. The Browns have a solid offensive line and an offensive coordinator who made a star out of Alfred Morris. With an ADP of 68, Tate's upside as an RB2 makes him an excellent pick. Last year, Pierre Thomas led all backs with 77 catches, and that was with Darren Sproles on the team. He's not going to give you much in the running game, but he's an excellent player to target in PPR leagues. Carlos Hyde, Christian Michael, and Jeremy Hill are 3 backups that could make the leap as sleepers in the later rounds. Hyde tops the list because Frank Gore is 31 years old, and he'll be a pile of dust by week 6. Michael's electric running gave the Seahawks leverage that ended Marshawn Lynch's holdout, and Hill seems destined to be the Bengals' goal line running back. So there you go. It's my top 20 fantasy running backs for 2014, plus some sleepers. Be sure to check out SB Nation for all our other positional rankings, and follow me on Twitter @MattUfford so you can watch keepers all season long. I'll see you soon.